Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. This is round number 3 of the season, coming to you today from Spa. My name is Ron Mons. Alongside me, working the comms and the cams, is Adam Thompson. We head off to Spa today for what is not going to be a nice, pleasant, relaxing day that you'd see at a usual Spa. Spa Francorchamps, one of the most iconic circuits in the world of motorsports, one of the most historic as well, holding races for about 100 years up to this point. But this current version of the track that we have, over 4 miles long, a draft-heavy racetrack, and in these draft-heavy cars, this race is possibly going to be one of the most chaotic, certainly one of the most hectic, and possibly the most exciting that we have all season long. But Adam, really looking forward to this. This is going to be some fun. I'll ask your thoughts on it in a couple of moments' time. But first, let's talk about the championship situations that we've already got going on. 2 races on the board, and despite not grabbing a victory thus far this season, it is Weekend Warriors staple, the man himself, the racing coach extraordinaire on the Racing Line podcast, Mr. Jason Green, leading the championship in the Spec 1 category, 175 points on the board. Had to go 15 back to find Aleix Pleva, the Czech driver behind the wheel. The number 46 car finds himself in P2. Trent Kramer in 3rd, Felix Samoas in 4th, and Tortulo rounding out your top 5. Moving on now to the Spec 2 category, at Jeff Jacobson leading only 2 points in front of Joachim Osbeck, the Swede, in the 210. Paolo Brema and Phil Berry, on the other hand, they are tied on points at 103 in 3rd and 4th, respectively. Dan Witzak rounding out your top 5 in the Spec 2 category. And as I get a perfectly timed hiccup, moving on now to the Masters category, Jörg Mani leading it at the moment. Still very early on into this season, but he's had a good start, as has Chris Murakami. Those two have grabbed the victories thus far this season, finding themselves P1 and P2 in the championship, essentially in a league of their own, about 13 points separating them, with only 2 on the board. But Adam, this race is going to be a shiitake mushroom show, for lack of a better term.
Yes. I have no idea what to expect. Absolutely none. But I'm looking forward to all of it.
Oh, it's definitely something to look forward to. I mean, we have got a whole bunch of race cars out here on the racetrack. Looking through 28 cars now have set a qualifying time, but I'm going to just run through the names that we have, which is like a full page for me in our live timing software. Soren Garrett, Russ Telker, Josh Arnold, Paolo Brema, Jason Grider, Alaise Pleva, Guido Marzucchi, Andre Favini, Trent Kramer, Daniel Salmon, Maurizio Nazelli, Mario Kremser, I believe would be the correct pronunciation of his name. Dan Witzak has also not set a time. We have got so many cars registered for this session. It is absolutely insane the amount of cars that we're going to have out here on the racetrack for this 40-minute race we have coming up. And it's also going to be insane seeing the train action already forming here in qualifying.
Yeah, it's going to be something else. It's going to be something to behold, to say the least, Ron. And well, I think we're going to hop on board. I don't think we've done an onboard lap with Jacob Kochik yet. So when he comes around to the start-finish line, hello, Tam, by the way, in chat. When he gets around to the start-finish line here, Ron, maybe, if they get it all squared away going into the bus stop, I'll let you have it.
Yeah, we'll get an opportunity to ride on board with the driver currently qualified in second in the 242 car. Let's see what sort of ride these drivers have around this absolutely wonderful racetrack, recently rescanned on iRacing as well, beautified for lack of a better term. This is the start-finish straightaway, one of the only points of this lap, which is actually calm, but heading now down into turn number 1. Really important to try and get this corner right, especially in these race cars where you get a little bit slow heading out of turn number 1. You're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble. La Source being turn number 1. Now we've got some iconic corners to talk about. Eau Rouge right here at the bottom of turn number 2. Going up the hill, screaming your way up the hill through Radion of turns 3 and 4. Haycock jumping up to the pole as we go on to the Kemmel straightaway. Long, incredibly long. You can hear Kasich having to lift off constantly just to stay in the draft of Yanqi Lin in the 30 car who he just got around. This is going to be where a vast majority of this leapfrogging that we're going to be seeing all throughout this race is going to happen. Overtakes into this section. This is a calm chicane of turn 5, 6, and 7. Really important to try and go through there as best as you possibly can. That's turn number 7 right there of Malmedy. You can already see the gravel going up on the track. We'll definitely be talking about that. Now heading down the hill through the braking zone into the downhill off-camber, slightly off-camber, 180-degree right-hander of Ravaja. Really tough corner to try and get right. This is No Name, one of the most iconic nameless corners of any sort of racetrack.
Okay, say it, Ron. Say it, Ron. Say it, Ron.
Now into Puan.
Yeah!
Turn number 10 and 11. It's a funny corner name to say, and it's a fun corner to drive around, trying to carry the momentum, haul the mail through 10 and 11. Don't want to go for a move, though, otherwise it's going to end in tears. This may be a good overtaking opportunity. This is the turn 12 and 13 section right towards the end of this lap of Fanye. Some very funny corner names to talk about here. Fanye exiting turn number 13 right now. If this was in America, we'd probably call it Funyon. This is turn number 14 that we're going through right now. Want to stay tight to that curb on the inside and the outside. Don't want to hit the gravel, though, even with the gravel on the outside line. That's turn number 15, a corner where I've seen some drivers flip it in the sim in the past. Hopefully these drivers won't have to deal with that now. On to the tight and twisties, but still pretty fast. This is the not-so-straight straightaway that consists of most of the final sector through turn number 17 of Blanchimont right now. Challenging Ben. My mind harkens back to Max Verstappen in his rookie season in Formula 1 back in 2015, getting a move done around the outside of Felipe Nasr many moons ago. Heading off through the bus stop chicane, a really tough braking zone as we just saw Kachik there, my apologies, prove a couple of moments ago, and a very tricky exit as we just saw Jesus Rodriguez prove that is a lap of Spa. 2 minutes and 44 seconds. Adam, I'll let you get a word in edgewise before some of the audience members try and lynch me for talking too much.
Oh, it's okay. Everybody likes listening to you talk. Well, most of us like listening to you talk. Yes, Yanqi Lin has moved himself up into second place. Hugh Haycox, we were talking about him before we came on air, actually. Driver that, Ron, I don't think I've ever commentated on. This is a new driver for me, and sitting up there in first place, which is weird because it's showing that he ran a 2:42 Oh, that was his last lap. Hang on. Stand by. We will change. We will fix the graphic. It will magically show us best lap instead of last lap. Look at that. That's way better. Yes, Hugh Haycock's driver that I've never really talked about, Ron, at least in the Weekend Warriors.
I don't believe I've ever seen Haycock's race in this series, but Hugh Haycock's making a pretty big statement right off the bat. That is a very good first qualifying performance. If it is his Weekend Warriors debut, what one hell of a way to kick it off. Still got about 8 minutes left to go in this qualifying session, but that's not a whole lot of time when you think about it. 20 minutes long this qualifying session is, and if it was, let's say, the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors who were running earlier on today at Snetterton, where the lap times were about a minute and a half, that's not too bad. Here, though, these lap times are very close to that 3-minute barrier. We'll say as well, a little bit of breaking a fourth wall moment here, and talking about the fact that the Weekend Warriors series always like to try and stay as close to real life in terms of the weather as humanly possible. Spec Racer Ford's a little bit different compared to the Formula Vs and the Formula Fords, for the simple sake that the SRFs are not rain-supported cars yet. Hint, hint, iRacing.
Yeah.
I will refrain from any further comment before I get my happy hiney fired. But the thing is, when it comes to this series, is if we're running in the rain with this combination, first off, the race would be even more ridiculous than it already is setting up to be. But those lap times would probably be over 3 minutes, which I think would be a Weekend Warriors record in terms of tracks outside of like Le Mans and the Nordschleife.
Yeah, I think it definitely would. I don't quite know how they do in the rain here. Oh my God, Felix Samoa's almost out a very, very fast lap too. That's unfortunate going through the bus stop there. Well, sorry, the chicane before the start-finish line. Loses a lot of time. He was on par, on track, for at least for a purple third sector, may have gotten him up into the lead, but that has all gone away. Now he gets to try again, and I don't know if he's going to have enough time to try again, because like you were just talking about with the lap times, 2.5 minutes with rain could be 3.5, 4 minutes even probably, because we were looking at rain laps with the Formula Fords. People were saying they were around 12 to 13 seconds slower than their dry lap time. So you equate that to a lap that's only a minute to a lap that's 2.5, and do some math. It's a lot of time.
I will say, ever the discussion raises about me doing math on a broadcast, as a recipe for disaster, and I will leave it at that. But these drivers crunching the numbers and trying to crunch the corners around this racetrack to set the best times that they can. Following our current Spec 2 pole sitter, Joachim Osbeck in the 2:10, currently qualified in 15th, setting a time of 2-minute 42.298. That's a lot of twos in the span of a couple of moments. In a blue 2:10, setting a 2:42.2. Lots of different things going on in my on this broadcast. Very few things going on in my head. Very little brain activity. The 5 brain cells that I have remaining were ones that told me to eat grass as a kid. So that really speaks volumes about the kind of intelligence that I give out on these broadcasts. But still got a little bit of time left to go. 5 minutes, so that equates to about 2 laps.
Yeah, probably about 2 laps to go here. We'll see what happens going forward here. Just trying to look around here to see what we can kind of see. I mean, as you can see, all of these lap times are extremely close, and there's a reason for that. You saw all these drivers drafting. Yeah, but there is a pretty big gap, obviously, between Reese and Pleva, but I'm actually surprised the gap is that big. I would have expected most of these drivers to be within a tenth or 2 of each other, just for the draft effect that these cars have, especially around here. It's the name of the game is drafting. So, yes, it is impressive to see drivers this close together, but you have to understand why, and that's why the race is going to be so entertaining.
This race is going to be incredible that we have coming up. Just a small little sample of the fantastic racing action that we have here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And with that being said, you should probably hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. And while you're at it, how about you like this stream to let us know that you're enjoying it? Following Yanshi Lin coming into the pits, Lin going to be making his appearance on the Racing Line podcast, which after a brief break for the holidays, I believe will be returning in just 2 days' time over on the Ray Esports Racing YouTube channel. McGrew now jumping up into P2. And Adam, we've talked about this a lot in the Weekend Warriors world, primarily in the form of the Formula Fords running, strangely enough, all at Brands Hatch. But I think we need to bring up the gravel discussion again and give ourselves some bad flashbacks to those Brands Hatch FF races. I
believe that I saw quite a bit of gravel in the final chicane, the bus stop chicane. I'm starting to get a bit worried there. We'll see. We'll see. That's all I'll say. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here. I'm worried because these Spec Racer Fords are going to be doing about 130 miles an hour going into the final chicane there. So, yeah, it's probably not going to go well if there's a bunch of gravel on the track. But we'll go ahead and ride on board with Jason Green around here. We can see he's in a bit of a battle, even though he shouldn't be. We'll see he's in a bit of battle, even though he shouldn't be because it's in qualifying. But we'll see how much gravel is actually going to be on this track going through the final chicane. And hello to Sewell, Alshutwi, and Marco Pinero as well. Marco, not racing this evening. Impressive.
A little bit surprising off the back of a dominant championship win in the Spec 1 category last season. You and Randall McGrew were on those broadcasts together, Adam, and I think entering the final race, Marco had, like 1,000 points on the board?
Yes.
Which is just insane.
Yeah, it's Marco Pinero, one of the drivers that just are heads and shoulders faster than anybody else on track when he shows up. So it is kind of nice when he doesn't. Sorry, Marco. It is kind of nice when he doesn't show up every now and then to allow another driver. Look, speaking of the gravel, there it was, Ron, and that is going through Campus and Stavelo, I believe. Those are those two corners, and that's just, no, is it? Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was Campus and Stavelo. So, yeah, a lot of gravel there, and those are very high-speed corners. And, again, we're going to go into the chicane here, and we're going to see probably a bunch more gravel on track.
I really need to get in contact with iRacing and let them know that they need to add some more corner names onto the iRacing track maps, because those are the ones that I use. I knew Stavelo was somewhere, but iRacing doesn't mark it. They only add in the chicane. Don't even call it the bus stop. It feels odd calling that section the chicane instead of the bus stop.
Yes.
That's not here nor there. But they got La Source, they've got Eau Rouge, they've got Radion, they got the Camel Straightaway, they got Les Combes, they got Malmedy, Ravage, No Name.
And guess what? Pouan isn't even Pouan anymore, and No Name isn't even No Name. No Name has turned into Speaker's Corner, and Pouan is now the double gouge. Something like that. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure the double gouge was something that I had at my family's house over on Christmas, so I think it sounds somewhat festive, maybe? It sounds like some sort of culinary dish. You can tell I'm a linguist expert. But we still got, we still got a little bit of time. Got a sprinkling of time, 5 seconds left on the clock. But because it is an open session, these drivers will be able to complete their lap time. So we got a lot of cars still out there on the racetrack trundling around. You can see the marching of the ants in that small little track map that we have on the right-hand side of the screen with the wonderful graphics that we have here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. So despite the fact the checkered flag is out in this qualifying session, probably going to be like another 5 minutes until we actually move into the race.
Marco Pinero in the chat saying, I'm just a normal SRF driver. Yeah, Marco, and I'm an astronaut. And we've got...
I'm smart.
We've got Ron Sr. in the chat saying Warren Zevon wrote a song about Ron, excitable boy. He'll drop an anvil on my head for that statement. LOL. Yes, that is Ron. Always Ron Sr. coming in with jokes. You just can't get away from him, can you?
If you're in the mood for some very odd musical references, make sure to always stay tuned to see what my dad says in the YouTube chat. And it's very nice to see that he's actually in the broadcast, so he can attest to this. So I promised that I was going to share this story during the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors broadcast earlier on this afternoon after the round of bowling, or the round of curling, as I described it. So I want to share a story of how I got into curling, and have it be known, this is a very lackluster story. So back in, I guess it was probably about 2015 to 2016, as a still like barely alive speck of a human being, a 9 to 10-year-old kid, 10 to 11-year-old kid, you can tell I was always great in math class. My dad used to have this woman come over to the house, and she would always try, like, startling me by turning on the TV and putting on Say Yes
Felix
to the
Samoas,
Dress.
I'm sorry.
Oh, boy. Perfect timing for me to go into a story as Felix Samoas snatches a pole position. In the dying breaths of this qualifying session, Samoas kicked this season off with a pretty good victory in round number 1 of the season at Bathurst. So looking to continue on the same form here at Spa today. Another long track, and it looks like Samoas is going to be starting on the pole, but the pole position not really going to mean anything for this. I'll wrap the bow around the story before we have any more drivers set in some blisteringly quick times. Jim Brewster crossing the line right now does not improve, so that's going to be it from Jim Brewster.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
Got a little bit sidetracked there. Sidetrack on the sidetrack, so I guess we got back on the right direction, but used to scare me by putting on Say Yes to the Dress on TLC, which traumatized me.
That's
to the
why
point
you're
where
so
I'd
weird.
say, that explains quite a lot about me. Also, me whacking my head on just about every single surface I could as a kid explains a lot about the broadcaster I grew up to become. But I would be like, I don't want to watch this. I would rather watch curling instead of watching this. So we'd put on curling on the TV, and I started to watch it, and what became a little bit of an ironic joke slowly turned into genuine, like an admirership, or whatever the term is, for curling. So that's how I got into curling, folks. I'm a very odd person, if any of these broadcasts didn't already give that away. You can say it, Adam. Don't worry.
I don't know what to say. That was the most anticlimactic story.
I told you it was going to be a bad story.
It was, I think it's an impressive story, really. And now we're sitting here waiting for the grid. Unfortunately, I think this is going to take quite a while because there are quite a few cars. So you should have really told the story while we sit here and stare at nothing, Ron. So I mean, I guess that's one way to get into a sport is to I don't even know. I don't even know, Ron. I don't know. Thank God the points are the grid's here. We don't have to talk about it anymore.
We're going to swiftly, abruptly move on and never mention any of that happening again. But we will mention that Felix Samoa's going to be starting on the pole. Oh, dear, sweet baby, merciful Jesus. We have a short formation lap.
Yes.
I'm going to have to burn through this quick. Felix Samoa's on the pole. Hugh Haycock's in P2. Jason Green in third. Yanchi Lin in fourth. Alice Pleva starting in fifth. Jacob Kasich, who rode on board within that qualifying session, going to be starting in P6. Antonio Reese, the Masters racer, going to be grabbing the Masters pole. I'll try that one again. The Masters racer without the voice crack. He's going to be starting in 7th. Josh Arnold in 8th. Thortulo in 9th. Then we have Jorg Mani starting this race in the 10th starting spot. Ellen McCain in 11th. Trent Kramer in P12. Looking through the rest of the drivers we have inside this field, we have Sergio Dorelli in 13th. Tom Bradwell in 14th. Scott Russell in P15. Chris Murakami in 16th. Joachim Ozbeck starting of the top starters in the Spec 2 category in P17 overall. Then we have Daniel Wood in P18. Andrew Love in P19. Soren Garrett in 20th. Jason Perry in 21st. Joshua Wilkie, SMB's very own, in 22nd. Dan Witzak starting in the 23rd starting spot. Derek Putnam in 24th. Jesus Rodriguez in 25th. Joshua Justice in 26th. Adam Bradshaw in 27th. And Breathe, Daniel Salmon starting in 28th. Ben Rycroft in 29th. Jim Brewster starting this race in P30. We still got 16 starters left to go here, folks. Kenneth Batley in 31st. Guido Marzuki in 32nd. Stephen Mitchell in 33rd. Paolo Brema starting in the 34th starting spot in the 555 car. Then we have Jeff Jacobson in 35th, Brad Cathcart in 36th, Phil Berry in 37th, Paul Jackson in 38th, Charlie Vaccaro in 39th, Joseph Tarantino rounding out the top 40. Then we have Mario Kremser in 41st, Michelle Vaglini in 42nd, Russell Telker in 43rd, Jason Grider in 44th, Maurizio Nazelli in 45th, and rounding out your 46 cars set to take the green flag in the not too far off future is Andre Favini. And Breathe.
Unbelievable. And here we go.
My lungs are bruised after that. Holy cow.
It's only going to get worse because now we have 46 people we've got to try to keep track of going through Eau Rouge. Going through turn 1 even is going through La Source is going to be the problem, and then we got to get him through Eau Rouge, Ron. But then we're not done because then we got the Kimmel Straight, and then we got Lacombe that we got to try. Oh, rest in peace, my GPU. My computer may not make it through this race. Look at all the cars back there, Ron.
Oh, rest in peace, mine as well. My internet connection is going to be tested to its absolute limit, to the point where I'm probably going to sound like a robot by the end of this broadcast. We're ready to get things up and rolling from this race, a race we're expecting a whole lot of drama and expecting a very early jump from Felix Samoas. That is a jump start of a lifetime from the driver of the number 31 car. But if iRacing marks it as good, it is good. There's a pile up farther in the back already with the spinner heading through the bus stop chicane, but Samoa's got leading over Jason Green and Elias Pleva. Haycock dropping down to 4th already. Some side-by-side racing heading through turn number 1. Don't want to take too many liberties heading through there. Don't want to end up in the gravel trap and make turn 1 look like it's baked in a beautiful dawn in Beijing, China. But these racers still heading through turn number 1. Jason Kreider in 43rd just went through turn number 1 right now as the lead drivers are already coming out of radio.
Unbelievable, Ron. Unbelievable. This is just an absolutely massive field we have. Green to the lead.
Jason Green getting that move done. The game of Spec Racer Ford Leapfrog clearly already beginning. Haycock's getting some moves
no,
done.
Yanchi Lin's around!
And Yanchi Lin going for an off-track excursion. That's heading through Lake Calm, ends up in the gravel trap. Very happy that the real-life Spa added in that gravel a couple of years ago. Otherwise, Yanchi Lin would have taken a pancake trip into that outside barrier and would have been game, set, match from this race. Some drivers going off the track, heading through the Lake Calm chicane. But Yanchi Lin already having an off-track excursion, was running in P6 at the time, and I think it may have been a little bit yes, it was contact heading through there that sends Yanchi off.
That is unfortunate for Yanchi, but it's a first lap. Watch the re-entry, and the problem is there's no good spot to rejoin the track. Yanchi finds a good way to do it. Still in contention, though. Remember how drafty this track is. He has a chance. First lap, it's okay.
There is no good rejoins in a pack like this. There's only the least terrible. Someone just went off the track. York Mani going off the circuit, heading down into Fanye of turn number 12. He finally rejoins the racetrack after cutting through the grass. His grill going to be absolutely caked in gravel. So at this point in time, these racers already dealing with the difficulty. And look at the stones getting thrown up in the air. Looks like a scene from Monty Python's Quest for the Holy Grail more than anything else.
Yeah, look at all of these drivers. Just a massive hornet's nest of SRFs back here, Ron.
This is absolute insanity. How many drivers did we just saw go off the track and run wide heading through turn number 15 a couple of moments ago? I think more drivers were using the gravel trap than they were the inside apex curb. One driver, though, who's running in this pack is Yanchi Lin. After that spin at the beginning of this lap, the beginning of this race, finds himself in 25th now.
Oh, that's your Wilkie's around!
Wilkie. Josh Wilkie having a spin. Thankfully for him, he takes evasive action to get out of the absolute chaos that would have unfolded for him if he stayed out there on the track, bringing more grass onto the circuit. You've got the stones, you've got the grass, you've got everything going on here. They've got 46 Spec Racer Ford still out there on the racetrack. They've just completed the first lap, folks, so this is going to be a really odd day of racing action. And here's Wilkie making contact with Joachim Mosbeck.
Yeah, that's just unfortunate there. Joachim gave him enough room. Wilkie got up on the curb and got into the side of Osbeck. It's unfortunate, but Wilkie gets able to get it turned around and keeps going. Yeah,
a simple little spin. Got to lose out on a whole lot of time, but never mind that. Back up to the front with Felix Samoa's getting a move done back on Jason Green to get his way back up into the lead. And who's that going off the track? Wildly out of control is Antonio Reese ending up in the gravel. And this is going to be painful for the driver of the 914 car, waiting for the endless line of traffic to blow his doors off. Still in the gravel. He's spun from the top 10. He's dropping down out of the top 40. That is gonna be a kick in the nuts if ever there was one. Steve-O would be proud.
Yeah, that is unfortunate here. Let's see if we can get a replay of what happened here. Wondering if it has anything to do with the Leish Pleva.
Yeah, I think those two were side by side. Actually, no, I think Samoa's just overcooked it wildly heading through there and trying to get it turned back onto the track through the Lecombe chicane. Sends Reese off. That is a crucial mistake, a heartbreaking mistake as well. He was running, what, in 5th at the time? He's now running down in 41st.
That has promoted Jorg Monty to the lead in the Masters class. Now we need to talk about Osbeck as well. Witzak is right behind him. Osbeck, Witzak, all of these drivers are going nose to tail right now. Osbeck, Witzak, and Salmon, all three of them right next to each other.
Yeah, the Hornet's Nest clearly already forming, looking at the graphics that we have up. What are the breaks in the field? We've got a small little gap between Hasek and Pleva, and then we've got a gap between Monty and Dorelli, and a small little gap between Kramer and Tulo as well. But outside of that, this field is so vacuum sealed together, and we'll mention this as long as I can. I'll hold off on that point as Tulo overcooks it wildly heading into the bus stop chicane and turns his inside front tire into a rectangle heading down. But I'm curious. Actually, no, I'll save that point as the Frenchman of Hugh Haycock's now jumping into the lead.
If you're going to try to get a point across, Ron, you might want to get it across because I don't know if there's going to be any good time we do it here. Looks like Scott Russell and Joachim Osbeck are going for it back here as well. Salmon obviously involved in that battle back there as well. Going back more through the field here. Looks like Adam Bradshaw sword. Look at this! Look at this!
Yee howdy, 3 wide coming out of turn number 1. Usually side by side through Rouge and Radion is absolutely terrifying. Still is in the SRF, so side by side heading up the hill. Jim Brewster wheeling it in that 933 car. Adam Bradshaw going off the track. Look at Soren Garrett. They may be 4 wide heading down the Camel straightaway. Bradshaw making it 3 wide with himself. Brewster and Garrett. Look at that. Holy cow. Heading down the Camel straightaway. This is insanity that we're seeing.
This is not going to end well. This is not going to end well.
The race into the Lecombe chicane. Contact being made. All of them made it through. How the hell did they all make it through?
Unbelievable racing. Just, I don't quite know if I've ever seen anything like that. Just crazy, crazy, crazy stuff we're watching right now. Unbelievable. Back up here at the front, Hugh Haycox has conceded that position to Felix Samoa's. Jason Green still sitting back in 3rd with the Leish Pleva in 4th. This is that 4-car breakaway. Then we've got another 4-car battle, or 4-car pack with Jacob Koschik, Sergio Dorelli, Trenton Kramer, and Thor Tulo sitting back there from 4th through 8th. And Chris Murakami comes along with Jorg Monty sitting in. Well, there's more of them than that. Tom Gradwell and Jesus Rodriguez, Alan McCain, Joachim Osbeck, and Daniel. Salmon is starting to fall off the back of Joachim Osbeck, though, so Daniel leads that 4th pack with Scott Russell, Daniel Wood. Oh, my goodness. It's just, there's cars everywhere.
Yeah, it is so hard to try and keep track of all of this going on. Tom Gradwell, though, may have just had a moment. He's dropping down as Daniel Wood has a wild off-track excursion heading into the gravel trap and losing out on a boatload of time. A couple of positions lost as well. I think Tom Gradwell may have lost out on a lot of time, though, because he was right by Chris Murakami. He now finds himself in 14th behind Jesus Rodriguez, Joachim Osbeck, Alan McCain, along with his 2 Masters adversaries. I was going to mention how that battle is for the win, for the lead, I should say, in the Masters category. What would be the win if these drivers can hang on there? Looking at Barry the Flagman, trying to get the sun out of his eyes so he can stay focused on this racing action, which is absolutely phenomenal thus far. But this lead pack fight in the Masters category is certainly going to be intense. You got Monty Murakami and Tom Gradwell. Those 2, Murakami and Monty, they've already grabbed 2 victories. They've grabbed 2 of the victories thus far this season at 1 apiece. So looking to try and break that stalemate up between the 2 of them, finding themselves in 1st and 2nd of the Masters racers, as Haycock's getting a move put back on Felix Samoa's to retake the lead of this race overall. Joachim Osbeck still leading in Spec 2, but here's the battle up at the front. Samoa's tucking into the drift of Haycock's, heading down into Lecombe, putting himself in 2nd at the moment, still holding the 5th lap of the race, and 4 wide.
Yes, yeah, we're going to go ahead and stay on this camera view for just a little while, I think, because this is what we're going to be looking at for quite a while. And then we're going to have to come back here to Brewster. And it looks like it's still absolute chaos back here.
It is absolute pandemonium here as,
There we go. I fixed it.
Okay, there we go. So Ben Rycroft briefly getting abducted by a UFO, but he has rejoined the racetrack. The invisibility.
Oh no, that's Wilkie around again.
Well, Wilkie around again. He's got towed back. He's had enough of his racing action here today. I think there may have been some contact because I saw another driver go off the track in the process. So let's see it running on board with Josh Wilkie in the 23 car. Oh, and you can see him incredibly deep into the braking zone. And, got involved in a sandwich. That was messy.
It was the 260 car of Russell Telker, just sent it in there extremely deep. Go ahead and go back and watch that one more time if we can from Russell's view.
You can see Russ going. Actually, no, it looked like he pulled out of line and created a little bit of a logjam effect, but was still on the inside line, didn't fully back out of it, and Wilkie just nowhere to go. That was so that was Telker on the inside of him, and I believe on the outside before that incident, I think it may have possibly been Tom Gradwell. I will look to confirm. It was actually Charlie Vaccaro in the 921 car, but either way, 3 cars into turn number 5. Gotta get the number right. Clearly not working out well for any of them.
No, it's not. I mean, we can see here on the track map too. Look at the. I mean, this field is still pretty close together, and you can see how far back. We've got the leader crossing the start-finish line, while the final person on the lead lap just came out of Stavolo. I mean, just an absolute massive amount of cars on track. Now, let's talk about what's happening up front here real quick. Sergio Dorelli is up 8 positions. Sergio Dorelli is clearly fast. Now, the question is, can Sergio Dorelli, I've been getting this wrong, Ron, and we need to talk about that. I believe it's Tortullo. Tortullo and Trenton Kramer, Jacob Koschek. Can these drivers all work together to get up to the 4 people up front? That is the big question here, and it looks like they are. Look at them staying in line. 3 of them staying in line at least.
Yeah, it looks like we have one playing scab. That I believe is Kasich in the in the 242 car. Looks like he gets some moves done, though, to slip his way up into 5th. And this was a point that I was going to raise. Kasich with a small little graphic with the other wonderful SDK graphics that we have here on SMB. That still throws me for a loop. I just threw up in a street in Boston. So I'm hoping that he does well at some point throughout the season, because there are a lot of questions that I have raised. First off, why would you want to go to Boston?
Oh, no. Oh, boy. Here we go.
See, okay, I will amend this right now. I do not have a problem with Boston. I'm looking to keep the rivalry alive after Bill Burr, possibly one of the funniest comedians currently alive, and a Bostonian himself, teared the city of Philadelphia to shreds about 19 years ago. So just gonna keep that streak alive. So I guess going up there for a sporting event, I can't really judge those a Philadelphia sports fan, but I feel like even the Philadelphia sports team's doing better than the Boston ones.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just depends on the type of sports team you're talking about, doesn't it? But, yeah, let's not bring up basketball, shall we?
Oh, I know absolutely nothing about it. But fun fact, folks, I know 3 facts about Boston and basketball and Boston basketball, and all of them are wrong. So we will swiftly and abruptly move on and see Sergio Dorelli getting a move done on Kasich to slip his way up into 5th. These drivers, I don't think they have a Wingnuts Hope. I don't think they have a Wingnuts Hope in a Fisher's Ace hardware store to be able to catch up to these front 4. So Dorelli, Kasich, Tolo, my apologies, and Kramer, they've just decided to start throwing missiles at each other.
Yeah, this is really what's going to have to be. I mean, the only way that these drivers are getting up to this lead pack is for them to work together, and clearly you can see them not wanting to do that. Now, with that being said, there might be some angry comms starting to get pushed over, because you can see that they're just outside of that striking distance, about 2.5. If he gets it within 2, he's going to be real close. He's just got to get there. Now, is Kasich going to work with him? Nope, Kasich's going for it again. See, this is not This is what you can't have happen. You will never get to them. Now they're up to 3 seconds. Look at that gap climbing now. 3, 3.1, 3.2. That's just, it's never going to work.
Yeah, and you can see some 3-wide action a little bit farther in the back as well, but clearly not working as a team. These drivers aren't working as a team either. That's Joachim Osbeck, who are falling right now, running in 9th at the moment, in front of all of the Masters competitors and in front of all of the Spec 2 competitors as well. Say that, though, Jorg Mani getting a move done on Osbeck right as I said that, so playing me like an absolute fiddle. But either way, Osbeck still leading in the Spec 2 category as it stands currently. You have to go well farther back to find Salmon in 16th to find the next closest Spec 2 racer. So Joachim Osbeck looking to try and do well this season and maybe fight for a Spec 2 championship, but only time will tell how some of these racers will be able to do, who is going to rise to the top, who's going to be swimming, and who's going to be drowning by the end of the season.
Yeah, it's a great question. We're going to find out. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people drowning in some tears after this race today because it's just not over. Look at this. That was not Jorg Mani. I almost got that wrong. That was Yanxi Lin going for a move around the outside of Chris Murakami into Puan.
That was some beautiful stuff from Yanxi Lin. We've touched on it occasionally. After that spin heading through Lake Calm at the very beginning of this race, Yanxi Lin has put on a rousing recovery drive to make his way up into 12th. So only time will tell if he's going to be able to break his way back into the top 10. I don't think a top 5 finishing position is really on the cards, but with moves like this, he is certainly feeling good about his chances. That was slick. I am shocked that iRacing even allowed that as well, having a run up on the curb, which I don't know about your experience around this track. Out of that
it
curb,
kills you.
Yeah, that is a sheer cliff.
Yeah, so the thing is with that curb is there's a little bit of a ditch, like where the water's supposed to run through that curb. You've got to get both right side tires over the top of that ditch, or you are going around. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yanxi Lin did it perfectly. Jacob Kochik has crashed.
Oh, what is going on with him? Let's take a look at a replay to see what happened to the driver of the 242 car. Was involved in this battle with himself and Dorelli. We saw those two playing the game of leapfrog all throughout this race. Got Tortola right behind him, though. Let's see what happened. No, I think he just decided to make a break to come down pit lane, but... Okay, I was thinking that he was going to spin at Austin Powers himself, so maybe just overly slow heading into the pits. And considering I mentioned the fact that he can Austin Powers yourself and just completely sandwich yourself between the two walls on pit entry, could be part of the reason why he was taking it extra careful.
Yep, it could be. Looking back here at Plava, sorry, Ron, if you were talking, that just got very loud in my ears, my iRacing sound, so I have no idea if you were talking and I just talked over you, but Sergio Dorelli now leading this 3-car pack. Let's see if these guys can get up to the back of them with Sergio Dorelli still leading this pack, see if they can work together. Look at that gravel. Look at the gravel flying down, Ron, but here's something else. Jesus Rodriguez is around. What's going on with Jesus?
Oh.
Big crash for Jesus, and that's caused an issue. Yanxi Lin has massive damage.
Oh, look at the car of Yanxi Lin. That it looks like a giant grabbed the front of that car and just pinched it in a little bit. So that is going to be a big detriment down those long straightaways around this track. Let's look at this from Jesus Rodriguez. He was running a pack in front of him with, you got Jorg Mani involved in that. You also have the other 210 of Joachim Osbeck. But Rodriguez goes off the track, hanging through Lake Calm, is slow, and bang! Into the side of him goes Yanxi Lin with absolutely nowhere to go.
That's unfortunate, I think, is the best way to put that. I don't think that's very unfortunate for Yanxi Lin. Jesus did nothing wrong there. Re-entered the track safely, hit the gas, tires were cold, had gravel all over him, and around he went. Not much else to do there.
Yeah, nowhere to go for Yanxi Lin. The falling anvil just whacking him on the head. Doesn't matter where that falling anvil come from. All that matters is that you end up with a dent in your head. And sadly, Yanxi Lin gonna end up with some dents in his race car because of that drama. Jesus Rodriguez just going off the track, spinning through that section, and it shows you the reworked physics on the iRacing platform now that usually in the past you'd have something like that happen, you'd probably be able to rejoin the racetrack without any further incident, though. A little bit of gravel out there on the track, some gravel for sure on Rodriguez's tires, and just sends him spinning around like a top. It's got to bring Yanchi Lin down pit lane, but he is not alone, as Chris Murakami and Ella McCain going to join him down in the pits.
Yep, yeah, that's really not a bad thing either. Yanchi Lin coming in now. You can take your pit stop now. You're within that, what am I trying to say? You're within that pit window now. So Yanchi going to be okay here. He's going to take that quick repair. Look at that. Look at that, just magic. Speaking of iRacing mechanics on cocaine, yes, that's exactly what just happened. So yes, the Yanchi Lin has just gotten his car fixed, and he's back out already and back up to the front here. I'm pretty sure you mentioned copious amounts of drugs and iRacing mechanics.
Red Bull.
Red Bull.
Red Bull.
Ah, Red Bull.
Oh boy, not touching that one. Trent Kramer going to the track.
Moving on. Tortello sitting here trying to get up to the back of Sergio Dorelli, and they're trying. I can't. Elise Plava is still 3 seconds ahead, Ron.
Oh boy, the front four is still just about as close as they have been, but they are breaking up somewhat. You've got a half a second gap between Felix Samoas and Jason Green. Oh boy, I'm getting you. That's the most amount of exercise I've done in years, laughing that hardly. I may end up forming an ab by the end of this broadcast. Now halfway through it, though, halfway through this race, 20 minutes and 50 seconds on the clock as it stands currently. And these drivers still just about as close as they have been. The only thing breaking this field up, really just some incidents here and there, and that's about all. Haycox is coming out of Stavilo right now, out of turn number 15. You have to go back, I believe, the last car on the lead lap. We'll just say it's the 540. Actually, there's Michelle Vlaglini, the final car on the lead lap. She's heading through she or he. I've never had full confirmation as to whether or not he.
Yes.
Is it he?
It's he.
Alrighty, so I've never gotten confirmation about that, so thank you very much, Adam. But he currently going down the start-finish straightaway and has the entire pack of this field running the back a shot coming onto that start-finish straightaway now. So
yes,
it's still rather spread out a little bit farther towards the back, but outside of that, it is absolute, pure, unbridled, sheer pandemonium with Trenton Kramer now making the run down into the pits.
Yeah, and all these drivers are now starting to come in, which is an okay thing for all of these guys now. This is where it's going to be a big deal for Haycock, Samoas, Green, and Plava is, are they all going to try to pit together, or are they going to pit separately? Because obviously if you pit separately, then you're worried about coming out in a spot that you really don't want to come out in, and you're not with those drivers anymore. If you pit together, you're worried about running into them when you're trying to get into that pit entry, which is not an easy one to get right, Ron.
Oh, that is not, it's so difficult. These races, I could best describe them as like solving a Rubik's Cube. If you get the right technique down and you try and apply yourself as best as you possibly can, it could work. But you need to be very methodical when it comes to these races, trying to figure out when to pit, when to push, when to try and attack, when to be a bit more conservative in the way you're attacking this race. There's so many factors that play a factor into it. See what I did there?
Yes,
that was terrible.
very nice.
I wholeheartedly apologize. Haycock still leading it over Samoas, Green, and Pleva. Jörg Monty currently leads it in the Masters category behind these two of Dorelli and Tolo, who are following right now. There is Jörg Monty, and with him is the Spec 2 leader of Joachim Osbeck. Those two cars covered by practically nothing, nearly coming to blows, heading downhill off into Ravage a couple of moments ago. So let's see how these drivers shake out in terms of drivers making up spots. So we haven't mentioned him. Maurizio Nazelli up 31 spots. Maurizio, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like Tam mentioned, and like always, here comes Nazelli. Yep, Nazelli starting from the back, moving on forward, and not getting involved in any of the incidents, which is impressive.
Yeah, that is an absolute achievement considering the hectic nature of this race that we've had thus far. The fact that Nazelli has been able to put his nose to the grindstone and just put on a very methodical race. Gonna make up another spot though on Scott Russell, heading down into Fournier, gets it done to slip his way up into lucky number P13. The driver of the 44 certainly being impressive. One driver who we haven't really mentioned thus far is Andre Favini, who's another hard charger, 26 positions gained thus far. He's running down in 20, so a little bit farther back of Nazelli, but that is still a very impressive result for the Swede in the number 27 car. He's got a Kasich right behind him, so I'm curious how those two are really going to shake out, as some shaking up at the front of the field with Felix Samoas and Jason Green going down pit lane together.
Yep, and that's not a bad, that was a bit of a move that we just walked away from or moved away from. That's okay, because this is a big deal too. Uh-oh, my goodness, what has happened to your money?
Let's see what happened to him in that 925 car. You've got Joachim Osbeck right behind, heading down into the chicane. Is it a spin? Is it any sort of outbraking going on?
Nope.
Is it a pit stop? There we go. I think.
Yep, just pit stop. Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Woo-hoo. Okay. Back to live picture. I bet you they're already out of the pits. They're coming out of the pits right now, actually. There goes Felix Samoas. Where is Green? Right behind him. So, nose to tail going in, nose to tail coming out. They come out in some clean air, and it's business as usual for those two. But it looks like Green has actually lost a little bit, which is not good. Green is about a second. He should be close enough to Felix Samoas, as long as Samoas is not within draft distance of Russell. It doesn't look like he is. So, yes, Green's going to have this draft here. You should see Green closing this gap down. Here it comes. 9, 8, 7. Yeah, Green's in it. So, business as usual. Let's see what happens with these two up front.
I'm curious how Pleva and Haycox are going to attack this this pit stop that they do have to do. Pit stops are a necessity in this series. You can see the gravel getting kicked up onto the racetrack from Scott Russell, who's now running in the 8th position. But Pleva and Haycox, I'm curious, not only as to if they're going to come into the pits this time by to try and shadow the call from Samoas and Green, or if they're even going to come into the pits together. We've seen in the past, Adam, some drivers have split strategies. We could see one of them come down instead of the other. Could be Pleva, could be Haycox, could be both of them, could be neither. Who knows? We've got about a third of the lap left until we will find out, which it being the somewhat low-power Spec Racer Ford around a racetrack like this, we have about 30 seconds until we see if they make that run down into the pits. So I'll ask you this here real quick, Adam. Do you think it would be a smart call for them to cover off that pit stop call from Samoas and Green?
I think it would be a very smart call to do so. You can see them leapfrogging there, doing what they've got to do. Yeah, looking back here to Samoas and Green. Samoas is there. Green is... Oh, man. Green is still not sitting... Oh, no. Samoas goes wide. That's going to help Green quite a bit to get back up to the back of Samoas. Yeah, that's what Green needed here. Green's going to go by Samoas there, and now they can leapfrog, but that may have just screwed them. I believe that Haycox and Pleva, who are now in the pits, will be able to come out now in the lead.
Yeah, that may be a big detriment. Meanwhile, Tolo and Dorelli making the run down into the pit. So those two coming in from second and from third and fourth. Gotta get the positions down correct. But Haycox and Pleva, they're now stopped in their pit stall. Let's see how it shakes out for them. I'm trying to see where is Samoas. I believe Samoas and Green. They're going down the start finish straight away right now. You can see them working together. Green now in front of Samoas. Let's see. They got the shorter run on the pit exit, but they're not going to have the same momentum. Haycox going to be out well in front of Pleva. Pleva, he's going to have to possibly slip in behind Green and Samoas. They've got the head of steam. They've got the warm tires, and they're going to blow Pleva's doors off. Haycox, though, breaking away now 1.6 seconds in front of Jason Green. That gap could completely diminish, though, in the span of the next 5 minutes, as we may see Samoas continue this game of leapfrog, take advantage of that run heading through Rouge and Radion, and get the move done to slip his way back up into P2. They don't want to do this too much, though. That gap is decreasing between now Samoas and P2, and Haycox in the lead, now down to 1.2 seconds, with Haycox having no draft help in front of him. But they don't want to go side by side or three wide throughout a decent chunk of the lap. Otherwise, Haycox, the Frenchman, is just going to be able to completely check out.
Yeah, this is what Haycox needed. He's licking his lips now. He's got 10 minutes to try to hang on to this lead. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know, and they are not going to go side by side. These drivers know what they're doing when it comes to racing each other. Take this. Any of the drivers, anybody that watch this and wonder why everyone else is so much faster than you, This is why they will not battle until they have to. They are very, very tactical when it comes to the moves that they make. They will not let Haycox get away here.
And frankly, they shouldn't, for the sake of us having a fantastic battle to talk about here in the commentary booth between now and the checkered flag coming up in about 11 minutes time. Only 11 minutes left on the clock, or less than that, to be a bit more precise. And all of these racers have put on a really good show. Speaking of a great show that is still ongoing, Maurizio Nazelli, I believe, has made his run down into the pits, running in 17th as the battle continues between Joachim Osbeck, the leader in Spec 2, and Jörg Mani, the leader in Masters. Mani, at this point, though, I'm not sure if he will encourage this fight with himself and Joachim Osbeck. He's a racer, though, so he's probably not going to give up. But at this point in time, I really think that Mani maybe would prefer to have Joachim Osbeck just stay in front of him, work together as a team, because you could see that pack a little bit farther in the back of shots as they go on to the back not so straight away. You've got Chris Murakami, Yanchi Lin, and Jesus Rodriguez covered by practically nothing. Murakami is running P2 of the Masters racers, and if Mani and Osbeck continue to fight, that 2.2 second gap between those two packs is going to vanish.
Now, here's what really needs to happen is Murakami needs to know that Yanchi Lin is faster than him. He needs to let Yanchi Lin out in front, because that is one driver that will be able to get up to the back of those, and it will drag Chris Murakami. Out back, up, my goodness, up to the back of Jörg Mani, and that's exactly what Chris Murakami needs. So keep an eye on this and see what happens if Murakami lets Yanchi Lin by.
Yeah, Yanchi going to be the one punching the hole in the air, possibly, as long as Chris Murakami lets him by heading down the Camel straightaway. That would be that's a pretty powerful train to be leading that train. That would be a very good call from all of them. Allow Yanchi Lin to be there. One driver who was in the lead but is no longer there is Haycox. He's dropping down to third. Jason Green now leading this race over Felix Samoas. I think they were 3 wide a couple of moments ago, heading down the Camel straightaway off into Lake Calm, as Salmon and Justice battling Tolo, who are following right now, involved in a small little battle with himself, Trent Kramer, and Kasich. So some battles heating up all throughout this field, as Tolo taking that off-track line coming out of Lake Calm. Clearly the gravel yearning for some of these racers.
Keep talking, Ron. Coughing fit here.
Quite all right. Don't worry about that. Adam, happens to the best of us. I've had that happen while I've been closing out some broadcasts, so don't worry. It happens to the best of us. But the gravel, it seems to like these. It's like a monster in like a really old like horror movie or something like that. Just it wants these driver safety ratings. It wants their incident points. Spa, I remember when I first joined iRacing, Spa had a reputation for eating drivers alive in terms of the incident points that you'd get. So bad, in fact, that for God knows what running it was of the Max Bance, the goofy race in the sim racing world, they just had an incident point limit of 1. And waited until everyone got disqualified to finally declare a winner. So Spa usually leans towards giving these drivers a bit higher blood pressure when it comes to thinking about maybe ending up disqualified with the amount of incident points that they may end up picking up. But one driver picking up some spots is Haycox. I mentioned he dropped down to third not terribly long ago, back up to the lead in front of Green and Samoas.
Absolutely. We're back here watching this battle between Favini, Putnam, and Bradshaw right now. This has been going on for basically the whole race, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as we get closer. But a driver that was doing very well up there, Jacob Kochik, is now sitting back in 7th, still doing okay, only down 1 spot. But, yeah, definitely falling off the pace there a little bit compared to Trenton Kramer, who's up 6 spots. Excuse me, I'm starting to fall apart here, Ron. And Sergio Dorelli up here, up 8 spots. Hugh Haycox, though, like you mentioned, is sitting back up here in the lead. Got about 8 minutes left, 7 minutes left, and this is when things are going to start to get a little bit more argy-bargy, let's say.
I like that terminology, argy-bargy. These drivers going to be breaking the elbows. Look at that from Green. Very aggressive. A little bit uncharacteristic to see Jason Green go for a move like that, trying to round the outside, coming out of Radion and onto the Camel straightaway. But it's going to work for him. He's going to take the lead. Felix Samoa's got to look to try and get the move done on Haycox. They'll be side-by-side through the braking zone into Lake Column. But one driver who hasn't found himself involved in this battle, he's just been quietly lurking in the back, is Alace Pleva. Sergio Dorelli, meanwhile, he's running basically all by himself. One is the loneliest number, and for Sergio Dorelli, he may as well have the number 1 on his race car, running in 5th at the moment in the 86, all by his lonesome, making up 8 spots, though, between now and the start of the race. So well done from Dorelli, as I think Trent Kramer may have just had an off-track excursion, losing out on some time. That or he and Tortolo were going side by side a couple of moments ago, but nevertheless, the driver who I'm keeping my eyes on in this battle, Adam, has got to be the, actually, look at this Hornet's nest that we're seeing right now of Kasich, Tolo, and Kramer. This is looking pretty feisty. These drivers battling in P6, P7, and P8 respectively. This could be really, really good, so only time will tell.
Yeah, looking here, trying to get Chris Murakami here, and look who is directly in front of Yorgmani, or of Yanqi Lin. That's Yorgmani, and now Yorgmani is probably holding his breath, hoping Yanqi Lin does not get up to the back of him. Watch this gap. Let's see what Yanqi Lin's doing here. Chris Murakami has let Yanqi Lin around. I think that is the best call. Now let's just see if Yanqi can get up to the back of Yorg.
Yeah, let's see. Will these drivers be able to work together, or is the tension of the end of one of these races going to come back to bite them on the butt? Side by side, though, so it looks like as much as teamwork may make the dream work, these drivers are hoping for a nightmare. Murakami getting the move put on Yanqi Lin to slip his way up into 10th. It's 2.2 seconds between Murakami and Mani. That is the battle for the lead in the Masters category as it stands at the moment, and all those racers have a pretty good shot. Mani and Murakami, as I have said, they've taken 1 win a pop thus far this season. Let's see if one of them is going to break the tie. Which one will break the tie? As it stands at the moment, it's going to be Mani, but we still got about 4 minutes left on the clock.
Yes.
We've got battles all up and down this grid.
Yep, down to about 2 seconds. It fell when they went through the chicane there. We'll see what happens going up the Kimmel Straight. But yeah, back up to the lead here. Jason Green, Felix Samoas, and Alace Pleva is starting to... I don't want to say it, Ron. I hope he put enough fuel in the car.
Oh, that could be that. Yeah, that could be what's doing it here from Pleva. That, or as the idea that I was going to share, maybe he's just letting these drivers burn up their tires, burn out themselves, and just strike while the iron's hot. Maybe go for a move on the last lap and be able to jump in front of 3 cars out right in front of him. Who knows what exactly Alace Pleva is cooking remains to be determined. The real question, though, is he going to cook a fancy 5-course steak dinner, or is he going to be burning down the kitchen? Who knows? Currently about 3/4 of a second back, though, Samoas, as he ran wide hang through turn number 8. So this may end up coming up a little bit flat for Pleva. Cracked open that sparkling water about an hour and a half ago, and as a result of that TV static feeling that would have felt like when he took the first sip of it after he cracked it open, feels more like a flat root beer. But Trent Kramer having a spin through turn number 8 in the process. Turn 8, caked in gravel, could be part of the reason why I've seen so many drivers have offs through there.
And that could have caused an issue here, because Trenton is now in between these drivers, but it looks like York might actually have a little bit of help now. Looking at that gap here between Kramer and Rodriguez, it's now 1.8, so keep an eye on it. We have about 2 minutes left to go. And it's looking like Dan Witzak has lost the lead in S2. Daniel Salmon is winning S2 right now.
I'm going to look through to see what kind of times these drivers set down pit lane. Pretty evenly matched, and I believe, looking through, Salmon actually spent slightly longer down in the pits compared to Witzak. So there must have been some sort of off-track excursion, but either way, it's a heads-up fight between these two for the lead in the Spec 2 category. Salmon running in 13th, Witzak running in P14. Will they go side by side? That remains to be determined. Gotta say, a little bit of damage, it looks like, on the front end of the 413 of Witzak. So that may play into the advantage of Salmon in the 659 car. But again, still have a whole lot of time left to go in this race, despite the fact it's less than a minute and a half on the clock. If these drivers take the white flag, actually, no, they have already taken the white flag, so you can completely discount what I have been saying. So this is it. This is the fight for the win. Felix Samoa's leading them, heading through Aruj and Radion for the final time at speed. But Haycox, he's going to be closing up that gap, maybe giving him a little bit of a bump draft there.
Here comes Jason
Will
Green.
this work? Look at Green, look at Pleva. Will Green try and get some moves done? He's got to try and leapfrog in front of these two as they bump draft each other. Green with a whole lot of speed heading down the Camel straightaway. Look at the lace. Pleva trying to get some moves done in the process as well. But Green got to leapfrog his way from third into the lead in the span of one single straightaway. Samoas and Haycox, though, finding themselves in P2 and P3. I gotta wonder, Adam, how that run through the bus stop chicane is going to be at the end of this race, because that, if ever there's a high pressure, a pressure cooker scenario for one of these drivers, that's gonna be it.
Yeah, going into that bus stop is going to be wild. Green did that when we came onto this battle. Green had gapped himself just a little bit from the back of, I believe it was Haycox in second place, and just overtook, just because of sheer speed, got to him about halfway down Kimmel Straight and was able to overtake both of them before they got into Lacombe. Now, the question is, what do they do now? What does Green do? He's going to have to get defensive. Now, the thing is with these Spec Racer Fords is you do have to lift. That corner, Blanchimont, you've got to lift going through Blanchimont. So I don't know how this is going to work out going into the chicane.
Yeah, a lot can happen. These drivers hoping that they have enough tires under them to be able to get through that corner without having a code brown moment if ever there was one. But that corner, turn number 15, oh so important. Stavilo, the exit, oh so vital. Felix Samoa is trying to take his opportunity, and he's going to get the move done to slip his way up into the lead. Pleva nearly coming to blows with Haycox. Pleva now trying to get a move done on Green. Contact being made, big contact. Look at Pleva, though. He's now running in P2. This may be the opportunity that Lace Pleva needs. Felix Samoa, though, got to try and hold off on that inside line. Pleva incredibly deep into the brakes, heading into the bus stop chicane.
No!
Contact being made, and it goes around. Pleva sending Samoa's off to the spin. It's a big amount of drama coming to the end of this race. Jason Green nearly getting spun by Haycox. Pleva taking the checkered flag in dramatic and controversial fashion. That's not going to win over anyone.
Yikes. Moving on. Jorg Monty winning Masters, and looking here, Daniel Salmon is at an absolute battle right now, and it looks like he's going to take the win of Spec 2, I believe. I don't know what was just going on back there with Daniel Wood coming home in 12th. I'm sorry, coming home in 15th, and Dan Witzak coming home 16th.
The gloves got taken off. I wouldn't even say the gloves got taken off. The gloves got taken off, and they put on their brass knuckles at the end of that race. Holy cow. I gotta feel bad for Felix Samoas, because I'm not entirely sure if that would have been his, considering how close those two were. Those two referring to Samoas and Pleva coming out of that final corner. But at the same time, I don't know about you, Adam. That move from Pleva just does not sit well with me at all. The move from Haycox nearly spinning Green into the tire barriers coming out of the final corner doesn't sit well with me either. The driver's really breaking at the brass knuckles at the checkered flag. We are expecting some fireworks. We certainly got them. And I'm sure Felix Samoas, for lack of a better term, is going to be pissed off.
Yeah, and I'm trying to go back here real quick. We can take a bit of time here to look at some replays as well, because there was a lot that went down. Looking here to see. We'll just start it here.
Well, there's about 15 quintillion things going on. We had Pleva banging elbows with just about everybody. I said that he was going to be maybe taking it easy come time for the end of this race. Certainly was doing it until the final lap. But you could see him using that run, getting it done. My apologies, worst time to get hiccups in the world. Getting it done on green, making a little bit of contact. Green gang shuffled back. That sent Green back behind Haycox even. But look at this. I gotta say though.
Hang on. Now I know there's a way to do this. Give me one. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna back this up because here's the first thing that gets a little bit weird. Going into Blanchimont here. Yeah, so green will go right here. It appears as if Pleva and green, Pleva just ends up turning right into green, knocking green out even more. But this is when things, like you said, get ridiculous.
Yeah, they got really ugly come time for the end of this race. I'm curious as to if there's any other stuff going on there, but you can see Felix Samoa's knocking doors with Alace Pleva. It was contact that Samoa's was kind of instigating with Pleva, and then Pleva kind of returned the favor there as well. That was just ugly. I'm curious, Adam, if we could maybe ride on board with Hugh Haycox at the end of that race. And more contact being made. These drivers like to make it a little bit of a tradition to have a little bit of a smoke show after the drop of the checkered flag. But I'm curious if we could ride on board with Haycox and all that drama, because I think contact with Pleva and Green, there may have been contact between Haycox and Pleva as well. So I'm not sure if that was just my eyes deceiving me or what, but I think there may have been something more with the other contact that started between Green and Pleva.
I think you're right there. So that's what happened. Haycox runs into the back of Pleva, which caused that incident. Pleva definitely did get on the brakes there. And then just one more time for good measure. Bonk. Anyways, we got results.
And we certainly do. And I think we'll go through these results before we say anything that may get us punched when we leave the commentary booth. But Alace Pleva going to be taking a rather controversial win here at Spa. He wins it over the newcomer Hugh Haycox. Jason Green going to finish in third. Felix Samoa's rounding at that top 4 pack. Not where he probably wanted to be. Frankly, not where he deserved to be. That was a little bit messy with himself and Pleva. I'm curious how he would have finished in that race had that contact not been made that sent him around. Jacob Kasich, though, going to finish well farther back in P5. That front 4 pack just breaking away and running away with things here. Tortolo going to finish this race in the 6th finishing spot. Then we have Sergio Dorelli finishing in 7th. Bjork Mani wins it in the Masters category when everything is said and done to finish in 8th. Yanshi Lin ends up in 9th, Trent Kramer in 10th, Chris Murakami in P11, Jesus Rodriguez in P12, Maurizio Nazelli finishing in P13. Then we have Daniel Salmon taking the win in the Spec 2 category, finishing 14th overall in a mild hornet's nest involving Daniel Wood and Dan Witzak. So a lot of Daniels and Dans in that small low nucleus between P14 and P16 respectively. You know, Tom Gradwell finishing a little bit farther back in 17th. Antonio Reese, who had a roller coaster ride of a race, ends up in P18. And looking through the final drivers, we have inside of the top 25, we have Joshua Justice, Ben Rycroft, Brad Cathcart in 21st, Adam Bradshaw in 22nd, Derek Putnam in 23rd, Scott Russell in 24th, and Paolo Brema running out your top 25.
In 26, you've got Andrea Favini, Andrew Levin 27th, Osbeck 28th, Jackson and Batley rounding out your top 30, Marzuki, McCain, Telker, Crimser, and Jacobson rounding out your top 35, Vaccaro in 36th. Rounding out the rest of the field, Brewster, Tarantino, Mitchell, Grider, Viglini, Perry, Barry, Arnold, Wilkie, and Garrett. Arnold, Wilkie, and Garrett's 46 drivers this evening, and we've got some interviews here, and looks like we're gonna have. I'm sorry, Ron. I'm absolutely losing it. I'm gonna have to let you take the interviews. I'm gonna mute. So which one do you want first, buddy?
I'm going to bring in a driver involved in that very hectic finish at the end of that. That being Jason Green, who's now joining us in the commentary booth. I'm not sure the level of decorum that should be shown here, but I'm going to lead off this interview with you, Jason. Thank you for joining us in the commentary booth with a simple little question here. Just how pissed off are you?
I'm pretty upset. I did lose my cool. Over the in-game chat a little bit, and I apologize for that. Yeah, that's definitely not something we want to do in this league. So I apologize for losing my cool. I'm not going to make any excuses for it, but yeah, it was a very close finish there at the end. We were all racing very hard, so yeah.
It was very close coming to the end. I will talk about that battle with the context of the final lap completely removed, because it was a game of leapfrog between all of y'all for sure. Between all of you at the front of the field, constantly jumping back and forth in front of each other, behind each other, and just continuing it on and on and on and on throughout that race. I want to ask you about that and the strategy that goes into trying to not lose out on a boatload of time when it comes to overtaking in a race like this.
Yeah, Felix and I were on Discord together trying to coordinate that because we had a gap that pretty much stayed the same, I think, to Sergio and his group behind. So yeah, we probably could have done a little better, but he really wanted to stay out in front. So yeah, that cost us a little bit of time. But yeah, it's up until the last lap. If we're all in the group together, then it's just about getting around all of the laps before the last lap as quickly as possible, and then duking it out on the final lap.
Well, it was setting up to be a really good race, and throughout all of that, it was definitely action-packed, the kind of draft-heavy racing we were certainly expecting here at Spa today. But we're going to be running at a different Belgian track, one with a bit less of a reliance on drafting, that being Zolder in 1 week's time. So what are your thoughts heading into that race?
Yeah, that one's going to be, it's a little bit of a draft track, but it's so technical. Every single corner, every single chicane. And we're running the faster chicane, kind of the wonky one that uses an access road this time around. So yeah, it's I feel like that one will split up into smaller packs a little more, just because it's so difficult to drive. So the time delta between different drivers will be a lot bigger than it was here.
Yeah, fingers crossed that the racing is a bit more spread out for the simple sake that, yeah, I will leave it be. But Jason, thank you very much for joining us in the commentary booth. And before we let you give your thanks or shouts, I will say our old SMB pal, Mr. Tim Cox, one hangover from him. He hasn't really been around the SMB world for quite some time with some real life stuff going on. One thing that he did leave us kind of like a parting gift is there's a little cooler in the waiting area. I'm not sure if you've seen it. It was behind the couch with a couple of Southern Comforts and some vodka in there. So if you want to take one of those for yourself and Felix Samoas, I would not blame you in the slightest. But I'll let you give your thanks and shout outs before we let you go.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But yeah, it's definitely another lesson learned about keeping my cool for going forward. But yeah, shout out to, since I didn't get to shout her out yesterday for the V, shout out to Michelle for being my setup engineer, #setup engineer from Levi's. She's always amazing at that. Shout out to, even though he wasn't here today, Stevie for putting this all together as always. And as always, a shout out to we had 45 or 46 people here today. So yeah, incredible that we have so many numbers around here. I think there was a little bit of drama to go through it, but I'm sure everybody still had fun.
Yeah, from our perspective in the commentary booth, it was definitely a riot to be a part of this broadcast, and looked like a riot out there on the racetrack, both in the incredibly exciting and incredibly terrifying way. But Jason Green, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth, and excited to see you back out on the racetrack in the not too far off future. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, y'all.
And that right there was Jason Green, who may be grabbing a little something for himself, and Felix Samoa, as I'm going to drag in a driver who had no say in all the chaos that went on around him, grabbing his second win on the second win of the season. Jorg Mani now joining us in the commentary booth. And now, Jorg, looked like your race was quite hectic, but I will like to say that may have been a good thing that you weren't battling for the overall win, because that was... Anyway, how was your race?
First, on one hand, yeah, it was quite hectic. On the other hand, it was beep bored. I had a beep shit race, actually. No, I was completely bored during the whole race. I couldn't do anything. I drove badly. I had no chance to catch up. And when I tried to catch up, then I got paused because of that huge draft, and then the guy ahead is too slow. He brakes too early, and like this, you have to settle back, and that's what I did. But I finished. That's good. But I thought actually Antonio won the Masters. I didn't realize that at all because I was so bored. And but on the other hand, it was okay. No crashes for me this time. That was good. In the front, I got really heated discussion. Yeah, I heard that on the chat. For once, I'm not involved. That's good. Yeah. Otherwise, it was not such a good race for me today.
I think you're probably the only driver of the 46 that took to the green flag here from the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors that said that your race was boring, but still end up walking away with the Masters win, the second on this season. I want to ask you about the good starts that you have to a season to kind of get yourself in the good frame of mind to contend for a Masters championship. You've had a pretty good start in all three of the Weekend Warrior series. So I want to ask you about the mental side of things and how important it is to get the season started on the right foot.
I mean, it's a great thing to start that good at the beginning of the season, but like you know by yourself, it's never easy to continue that through the whole season. I will have my drop weeks as well. That's going to happen, and it just depends how many of them you're going to get. And at the moment, I'm just saying my goal is to finish. Where I'm going to finish doesn't matter that much. I just want to have good races, and I want to have fun with Antonio, with Chris, with all the other guys. And so far I had great fun with them, and I hope it continues that way. But from the mental side, I don't do anything special. I just keep calm, and that's it.
Keep calm, cool, and collected, and grab those checkered flags whenever they drop into your lap. That's a pretty good mindset to have for some of these races. But Jorg, it's worked out well for you, grabbing another victory in this still very early season. Before we let you go and celebrate, is there anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Not to Jeff this time, because he didn't appreciate it that much because I mentioned nothing. No, I want to shout out to you guys. You're doing an awesome job, and thanks a lot.
And thank you for the kind words there, Jorg. We appreciate you being in the commentary booth with us, and well done on grabbing your third win of the victory, unless I'm very much mistaken. So well done to you on that.
Thanks a lot, Ron, and thanks a lot, Adam, and have a good night.
Thanks, Jorg.
And that right there is Jorg Mani joining us in the commentary booth. And now, Adam, I know that the sickness is starting to overtake you, so I will wrap things up as quickly as I possibly can so you can seek any sort of medical attention that may be advisable in that regard. So I will briefly touch on the upcoming broadcast that we have here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, because, folks, the action simply does not stop here at SMB. Coming up this upcoming Wednesday on January the 8th, we've got the action 70 minutes of GT4 racing action, to be a bit more precise, at Watkins Glen. And later on that same day, stay tuned for the Formula 4 Intermediate Sim Racers Group Series running at Rudskogen. And this upcoming weekend, stay tuned for the action here on SMB with the Formula Vs running at Okayama, the Formula Fords running at Alton Park, and the Spec Racer Fords running at Zandvoort. So that's all the stuff coming up here on SMB. Gives you more reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. A day of racing action, which was hectic to be sure and controversial as well. We got some drivers not very happy with each other and a whole lot of storylines to carry over into next weekend. But I think for this broadcast of the the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors round number 3 at Spa, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Mons, Adam Thompson joining me, working the comms and the cams on today's broadcast, and all of you tuning in, I say thank you all so very much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too far off future.